guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is entitled Old Man Demands My Seat on the Bus. For context, I am 23 and have a currently undiagnosed chronic illness that manifests as severe abdominal pain, which makes it invisible to the average person. I struggle with my balance a lot, so standing on public transport is not easy for me. I was on one of the buses in my city heading up to my church. It was a Sunday morning, so the route was fairly quiet, which I was glad for because for multiple reasons I was having a pretty crappy day. I sit in the disabled seating, both because it is my right and because the buses don't wait for you to sit down before they head off again. I was probably 3 stops away from the one I needed to get off at when entitled Old Man, EOM, gets on. I am texting my friend and not paying too much attention when I suddenly have the end of a walking stick in my face and EOM saying, "Are you disabled?" Me. "Excuse me?" EOM. I said, "Are you disabled?" The bus was not full in the slightest, there was plenty of regular seating, but he decided to pick a fight. Me. "Please don't point your stick in my face." EOM. "You're sat in a seat for the disabled and elderly." "Are you disabled?" Me. "Yes, I am." EOM. "Nothing wrong with your legs." Me. "I have issues with my balance, thank you." EOM. "Well, I have to ask, don't I? So many young people sitting in those seats who don't need to." Me. Voice raised slightly, "No, you don't have to ask, and in fact it's incredibly rude for you to ask about someone's personal medical history over a seat on the bus." EOM then sat in another seat, muttering about how rude the youth of today is. When I got off, I apologized to the bus driver for raising my voice and thanked him for the journey. He told me to have a good day. The next story is titled Coworker is Offended I'm Working Through Holidays. I'm laughing about this and thought I'd share. I, 34F, have used all my PTO in advance for family reasons and was totally okay for working over the holidays. For certain reasons I can't travel anywhere this year and must be home at least every other day for several hours. So, I don't mind working, I love my job and have short commute. There aren't many of us there, so it's peaceful. This one coworker has a problem about this. She's accused me of using too much electricity if I work during their vacation time, for not being thoughtful enough to save my PTO for Christmas, and how I'm unfair. I'm laughing on how she thinks it's her business to tell me this. My boss is totally fine I'm working and can supervise new employees who don't have yet any PTO. I fail to see how me working is using too much electricity, as the work must be done eventually anyway and there are others working too. She is using PTO so on vacation. The next story is titled $30 Snack. My son got a long-desired leopard gecko today. We needed one more thing that the pet store was out of, so we popped into the drugstore. Walking out, there was a woman coming around our car who looked sort of familiar to me. She kept saying something about diabetic. Finally, I realized she's saying, "Can you help a diabetic?" And I'm a decent human whose kid and new leopard gecko are watching, so I'm like, "Of course," and she's like, "I'm diabetic. I couldn't see my family yesterday. The government stopped my food stamps. Could you give me a little money for a snack?" And I'm like, "Of course," pull out my wallet and reach in to see what I have. $7. Seems like enough for a little snack, even in Seattle. She goes, "How much are you giving me? $20 or $30? I'm like, I have $7, and she groaned. "Don't worry. Spots the gecko didn't notice, neither did my 6-year-old. I couldn't believe it. Oh, I remember where I know her from. We've both been waiting at the pharmacy together for an extended period of time, and she spent the entire time unloading the details of her recent doctor's appointment to her mom via speakerphone. The next story is titled Forced to Accept Gift. My older brother, S, and his wife, T, pretend I don't exist on good days and are snide and awful on bad days. I crochet and make a lot of handmade gifts in the past for Christmas. S has always said how he hates yarn and it's scratchy and no one will like what I make. Last year he informed me that I wouldn't get a Christmas present as I was married, and he was saving money to buy for our kids in the future. I can't have kids due to health issues. You can see how mean. So, this year I decided that I would be the bigger person and still give them Christmas gifts. They have a new dog this year also. S hates dog sweaters and thinks they are silly. So, for Christmas I crocheted S&T a dog sweater and knitted matching hats in their favorite football team colors with embroidered patches attached also. They're nice quality so S&T can't refuse them, but I get satisfaction knowing everyone will love it but S&T. The next story is titled The Barbie Shoes. Growing up, my cousin was a terror. We're both girls, for the record. She was a bully, very much a mean girl. I unfortunately ended up spending a lot of time with her for various reasons, until I finally went very low contact with that side of the family once I got older. She was super spoiled, my grandma's favorite and the golden grandchild, while I got to be the scapegoat, black sheep. Not a fun part of my childhood. Anyway, my cousin was obsessed with Barbie. This was back in the days when Barbies were not light and soft. They were solid, hard plastic weapons. My cousin would constantly crack me in the head with Barbies. Between my grandma and her parents, she had a million of the ducking things, and I always had to play Barbies with her even though I ducking hated Barbies, or else she would launch into a massive tantrum. I figured I was going to get nailed in the head with Barbies anyway, so I just went along with it and was as boring as humanly possible. Naturally, I got the worst Barbies and the worst clothes. It wasn't the only nasty thing she did to me by far, but it is the one that's directly relevant to this story. I don't remember what the last straw was. I don't remember why I snapped. I'd gotten past the point of crying or reacting to anything she did because my aunt and grandma would just punish me for lashing out at her after I put up with too much of her abuse. So, I had been keeping it bottled up for a while. What I do remember is what I did as revenge. I think I was about 8 years old. One night that I had to sleep over, I waited until she fell asleep and then snuck into the playroom. Then I went through all the Barbie shoes and carefully tossed out one shoe from a few matching pairs. I didn't do the whole lot of them because I thought that would be too obvious. But I did enough of them that it was going to be a problem, and I made sure I got at least one or two of her favorite pairs. I left the next morning and forgot about it, until the next time I visited and overheard my aunt telling my grandma over the phone that she was sick of Barbie shoes and all of Barbie's tiny accessories because they always get lost, and she'd gone through the entire vacuum cleaner bag but hadn't found a single shoe. I never told a soul. The next story is titled Am I the A-hole for reporting my nephew to the police after he stole and damaged my car? I'm 22M and I'm the product of an affair. My dad is about 25 years older than my mom, so all three of my siblings from him are 17 plus years older than me. I didn't have a relationship with that side of the family for majority of my childhood, but my dad and grandparents often sent money, holiday cards, birthday gifts, etc. I'm a lot closer to them now and had good relationships with all my siblings, nieces and nephews until this happened. I own a 1976 Corvette Stingray that was gifted to me by my maternal grandpa when I turned 17. I've built this car up from a roller and it's my most prized possession. I went out of town for 2 weeks for work and left my car in my paternal grandparents' garage. I don't like keeping it at my place when I'm away for long because I don't live in the best area. I've done this since my freshman year of college and there has never been any issue until now. When I got back in town, I immediately went to my grandparents' house to pick up my car and there was a big dent and a lot of paint missing off the side of my car. It looked like someone sideswiped my car. I asked them what happened, and they were confused. When I showed them, they were as shocked as I was. They told me that my nephew, Kevin, 25M, had been messing around in the garage the previous weekend, but they didn't see him take the car at all. We checked their camera system and sure enough, he had taken my car. I tried to call Kevin, but my number was blocked, so I called my brother and told him what Kevin did to my car. He said he'll ask him about it and recommended a body shop for the estimate and repair. When I got the estimate back, there was $3,700 in damages. I told my brother the estimate and he said that the estimate was ridiculous and that the damages weren't that bad. I told him either he or Kevin had to pay for it to get fixed or I'd be contacting the police. I gave him 3 days and he didn't pay me, so I filed a police report and gave them the videos of him taking my car. Kevin was arrested at work and my brother was pissed. He called me going off about how I ruined Kevin's life over a car and said some threats. My sisters and dad have been calling and texting me asking me to just put the family first and drop the charges, but I don't want to. Am I the a-hole? Comment said not the a-hole. He stole your car. You offered the option that did not include involving the police, which was him taking responsibility for the damage he did. Ultimately, they all made their own choices. The fact that they didn't believe what the consequence was doesn't mean anything. Another comment said not the a-hole, and if you were to file any sort of claim at all, you'd have to file a police report. To those asking you to put this aside, say take up a collection, put some skin in the game, get it covered, and I will. But I am not accepting damages to my car to do this kid who cared so little for me and my property that he was willing to steal and inflict the damages. You wanna be mad at the kid. I am not paying for this and I am not accepting the damages. The next story is titled No, You Did Not Reserve the Shuttle. I work at a hotel near a major airport, so naturally we have an airport shuttle to take our guests back and forth. Our shuttle runs 24/7, but after the pandemic we only have one shuttle, while before we had 2 shuttles to decrease wait time. Currently, it runs on a half-hour schedule, so it leaves the hotel on the top and bottom of the hour and picks up at the airport on the 15 and 45. The only way to be fair to our guests and keep the schedule accurate is to leave the hotel right on the dot, and we only wait a few minutes if you call down ahead of time to let us know you were running late. Because the shuttle only fits so many people, we tell our guests at check-in to sign up for a time slot so we can ensure we don't end up with 20 people showing up for a shuttle that only fits 12. Though we are not required to do so, most of us at the desk explain to the guest that they need to be in the lobby 5 minutes before the time they signed up for, as the shuttle leaves right on time and does not wait. Apparently the FOM checked him in and didn't mention that part, which was a mistake, but it's not something he requires us to do, and I'm the one who put in the effort to train my coworkers to do just that, and as I am not a supervisor, no one is required to take my advice and tell it to the guests, even though it prevents this sort of thing. Today, a guest who signed up for a 7 a.m. shuttle came down at 7:03 a.m. I informed the guest that the shuttle had departed and he would need to wait for the next available shuttle. He said to reserve him another shuttle immediately, and I informed him that he would be signed up for the next shuttle at 7:30 a.m. He reiterated that he wanted to reserve a shuttle right now and that he had already reserved himself a shuttle for 7 a.m. I told him again that he would be signed up for the next available shuttle, which just got me another insistence that he had reserved the shuttle. I realized that he was under the impression that he was oh so special and the shuttle was leaving at 7 a.m. for him specifically rather than leaving at 7 a.m. for our guests in general, because that's when it always leaves. I tried to explain to him that no, he did not reserve a shuttle specifically for himself that was guaranteed to take him when he needed it, but rather he just put his name down to let us know how many people to expect for the already scheduled departure. Of course, he's super special and important, so he kept reiterating that he had reserved a shuttle and therefore we needed to get another shuttle for him immediately. I told him we have one driver, so there's no way to get another shuttle going right then and there for him. Which was met with, "You guessed it. But I reserved it." "No sir, you did not reserve the shuttle. You said you'd be here for the 7 a.m. shuttle and then you were late and it left." Oh, and his wife came down 5 minutes later, so even if he had bothered to let us know he was going to be late, we wouldn't have been able to wait that long for the entire party to be ready. I will say, the one good thing he had going for his behavior was that he never invoked his status, highest status at our hotel outside of lifetime or owner status. But he did ask for the manager's card, and I'm sure we'll get a bad review out of it. The next story is entitled Mom, Kid? It's been a while since I've had anything share-worthy happen, so I knew it was just a matter of time. Our breakfast cafe is right across the lobby from our front desk, and as such, I can usually hear pretty much everything going on over there. That was the case this morning. I could hear a female guest arguing with my breakfast attendant, although I couldn't quite make out what they were arguing about. A few minutes later, a guest came to the front desk with a kid to say that we were out of all juices in the cafe. I wanted to say that I knew that because there has been a sign on the machine for a few weeks stating that very thing. But instead, I apologized and said that our supplier was out the last time we placed an order, and all flavors of juices we on backorder. Needless to say, she was not a happy camper. She looked over into our gift shop, which is right next to the FD, and asked if she could have, emphasis hers, some of the juice from the cooler. I asked her, what juice? As we don't have any juice for sale in it. She said, the pure leaf juice. I told her that that was tea, and that all items in the cooler were for sale only, and boy, did she ever throw a hissy fit. She went on to say that there was nothing over in the cafe for a child to drink, and she wasn't going to give her kid coffee, as it's dangerous. I'm thinking, really? Well then, with as much coffee as I drink, I guess I'm in big trouble. I then go on to tell her that milk and water are both available in the cafe, and she replies, my baby don't like milk. Her baby looked to be around 12 to 13. Once again, I apologized, but told her that if she wanted something out of our gift shop, she would have to pay for it. She had a few more choice words for me, but she did eventually buy a sweet tea and a can of Coke. As they were walking away, the kid asked if she could have a candy cane from our Christmas tree, and I told her that yeah, she could take one, and then I turned back to what I was doing before she came to the FD. About 30 minutes later, I had to go out to the lobby to put a luggage cart back in place that a guest just left sitting in the middle of the lobby. As I walked past the Christmas tree, I noticed that there were no candy canes left on the tree. Earlier in the night, I hung 30 canes on the tree. Since only a few people had been through the lobby since I told the girl she could take one, the only thing I can figure is that the little crap took all the candy canes from the tree. With as much sugar that's in a candy cane, and these were pretty good-sized canes, I'm sure they're more dangerous than coffee. Juvenile diabetes is a real thing, kiddo. I wouldn't wish diabetes on anyone. I have type 2 and it sucks, but I wouldn't feel too terribly bad if she developed diabetes. Yeah, I know, I'm going to hell. Mama couldn't get her way, so I wonder if taking all of the candy canes was some sort of revenge? The more I'm around people, the more I like my dog. The next story is titled Yes, It Is Your Responsibility to Bring an Adapter When You Travel Overseas. This happened a few weeks ago, one of those things that just make me want to bang my head into a wall. Anyway, a guest comes in, checks in, she even seems nice and goes to her room with no problems. She is from France and the hotel is in the UK, keep this in mind. After some time she backs down holding her phone and its charger. Gee. I went to the room and the plugs are different, how do I charge my phone? Me. Yes, the plugs are different in the UK. You would need an adapter. Gee. I do not have one. Me. Oh. Well, I am really sorry, we usually have some available for purchase but unfortunately we ran out. Gee. I don't understand, how am I supposed to charge my phone then? This is ridiculous. Me, almost baffled at this point. Well, as I have mentioned, this is the UK, ma'am. UK uses different plugs than France. Gee. Okay, but it is not my fault that the plug is different, there must be something you can do for me. Me. I am very sorry but as I said, although usually we have adapters, we do not have any today. Guests coming from overseas will usually be in their own adapter. The most I can do for you is charging your phone behind the bar area and we will keep an eye on it. Gee. That is not good enough, I am not going to leave my phone charging in a public place. Can I speak to someone else? I agree and go get my poor team leader, who was checking banking at the time. She comes out and explains exactly the same thing I just did, but the guest still complains. In the end, by some miracle, we did find a spare adapter which we happily sold her, but I still kinda wish we didn't so that we could teach her a lesson. But what's done it's done. I really don't understand what goes through the head of these people. Since when people don't think preparing from their own trip is not their responsibility. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.